Hi, I'm Ashton from Twist Pixel, and I'm going to show you how to put your screws in your wall for the slab in the exact right spot. So the slab will come with pretty much everything you need besides like a screwdriver and a pencil. And you don't want to use a normal nail or screw, so we include a wall anchor here. It's a bit more substantial so that it's not going to fall to your wall because the slab's heavy. Alright, first thing is you got to search your sole and ask yourself, how big is my final slab going to be? How many separate slabs is going to make it up? Are you hanging just one or more? Like, this is the one I'm hanging today. It's pretty big. It's 3 by 3, so it's 3 across, 3 slabs high. So 9 separate slabs are going to come together to make this. So figure out for yourself what you're making. Is it going to be 3 by 4, or is it super long? Is it like 1 by 10? Whatever it is, figure it out. Alright, so first we're going to find out where we want to put our first anchor mark. If it's one slab, it's your only anchor mark, but if you have a bigger piece, it's going to be your first one. It'll probably be the top one and somewhere in the middle. But so this starts off, it's a huge, if you want to eyeball it, you can just eyeball it. But if you want to be exact, I'll show you how to be exact. So if you want to just skip this, you can, but most of the time you want to find the center line. So I'm going to decide where exactly horizontally I want my anchor mark to go. And yeah, usually you're going to be splitting something right in the middle. So I'm going to be going right in between this and the window. So the way you do that is you just measure the distance, whatever it is. Let's see, so mine's 83 1/4, and then you just divide that by 2. So that's 41 5/8 for me. So for me, I know that at exactly 41 5/8 is the center. And so I'm going to make a mark there. So I got my first mark made. It's in pencil, obviously, so we can erase it. But now you want to ask yourself, is my slab an even number of slabs wide, or is it odd? So like I showed you, mine is 3 by 3, so it's odd. So if it's odd, we're done. This is where our first anchor mark is going to go. It's going to go somewhere on this vertical line. But if it's even, then we're not going to have an anchor in the middle of our piece. So we got to move it over to one direction. So like, let's say you're making a slab that's 2 by 2. We would need to make another line before we start working. So the way you make the separate line is you can just take a slate, throw it on the wall, and line it up right in the middle. So I got my line right where the screw is. And then on the left or right side of the slate, you want to make another line. And this will be where our first anchor mark goes instead. Alright, so whether your slabs are even or odd, you got your first mark, and this is a line of where our first anchor is going to go, at least horizontally. But now we need to find out for vertically. So we're going to find out exactly how high we want to put our anchor. This is, of course, another time where you could just eyeball it, but if you want to know exactly how, I'll show you. So it kind of depends what you're basing it on, if you want to be a certain amount under something or a certain amount above something. But I'm going to show you for if you want to be exactly in the middle, which is probably the hardest way and most common. So I have a pull-out bed that goes here, and I want it to be exactly in the middle of the ceiling and the pull-out. So first thing is I'm going to measure. I made a mark where the pull-out bed comes to, exactly how tall that area is. So it's, all right, 49 inches is my area. So find whatever your is, how tall your vertical area is. All right, when you know how tall your area is, now we want to know how tall our finished mosaic is going to be. So I can just tell you, each one is 13 1/4. So mine's 3 by 3, like I said, so I'm going to be multiplying 13 1/4 by 3 to get my total height. And so for me, it's 39.75 inches. So figure it out for yourself. So now that we have the total height of our area and the total height of our mosaic, we want to find exactly where the top edge of our mosaic is going to be. So the way we're going to do that is you take your total height and divide it by 2 to get your midpoint again. And we also want to take the total height of your mosaic, whatever that number was you came up with, divide that by 2 to get how tall half your mosaic is. And so since the midpoint of both are going to be exactly the same area, we're going to take that half of our height number and subtract the half of our mosaic number. And that's going to give us wherever we want the top edge of our mosaic to be. So now we should have this distance between the top and where the top edge is going to be, but that's not exactly where our anchor point is going to go, because if you picture the mosaic is here, there isn't an anchor right here. It's actually a little bit below that point, and I'll show you what that distance is. So the anchor is going to sit right in here, right in this top of the little hole. So it's actually exactly 2 inches. It's actually exactly 2 inches. So we're going to take whatever that distance is that we had, and we're going to add another 2 inches to it, and that's going to be right where your first anchor point goes. But it's also going to be on that line that we made earlier. All right. So after all that math, my number is 6 5/8. So take whatever yours was and make a horizontal line on your wall. So mine's right there. And now we want to find exactly where our vertical and the horizontal meet up. So you might want to measure out again now that you're more close and get an exact T made. All right, so I've found exactly where mine intersect, and I made a little pencil T there. So that's my first anchor point. Now, after we got our first mark, if you got one slab, you're done. But if we got multiple, we need more anchor marks, so we got to find out where to put those. So there's an easy way to do this actually. You just take a slate and the bubble that came with. And so what you want to do is put your first anchor mark right at the corner of your slate and make sure the bubble is also level. So right about there for me. And now there's going to be 3 more anchor marks at every corner for me. I mean, you might just only have one, but you're just going to use this process to evenly space out your anchor marks and make all the additional ones you need. So you can just make a mark right about where the corner is. I'm going to be super precise though. I'm actually going to make a line here and a line here, and then I'm going to take an index card and find out for each one exactly where they intersect, and that's going to be where my anchor mark is going to go. After you've got all your marks made, it's time to put anchors in your wall. So, just put it exactly where it's supposed to be and then screw it in. I definitely recommend a power drill, but it's possible with a manual. Just takes a little bit more oomph. All right, so you don't want to drill it all the way into your wall because you want to leave enough room for the slate to grab it. So what I like to do is put 2 chips down, and then you're going to screw it in right until it comes up to those 2 chips. That's perfect. And now just like that, you're going to put all your other anchors in your wall as well. And bam, that's it. You've got all your anchors in your wall to hold your slab. So now you just got to figure out whether you're doing temporary mode or permanent mode and hang it up accordingly.